non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno.
Welcome to July. So, as seems to be a small habit, I'm starting my month with a holiday. I've had a few little trips away over the last few months, and this is like my first long holiday that I've had for quite a while. So I'm going to be away for the first week of July. I'm going to try and film some footage for you guys so you guys can see it. I'm just going on a local holiday with family and I'm looking forward to it. And of course that means we need to pick some books. Now for the first week of July it's also NAIDOC week, which is basically a time for us to celebrate Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander everything basically for a week specifically in Australia. And I have been planning for the last year to participate by reading some First Nations literature. So last year I did a book haul during NAIDOC week because there's so many promotions out. So it's easier to discover and find recommendations. And now I've built up quite a happy stash of First Nations books and I'm very, very excited to read some of them. I've read a few over the course of the year, but there's a few I haven't got to, and I am going to show you what I'll be taking now. The first book is The Old Lie by Claire G. Coleman. I've been really, really excited and keen to read Claire G. Coleman. Her work is, from what I've heard, amazing, and I'm just really excited to read some of her other literature now. And I believe it's going to be following two characters, Shane and Romani. I never know how to say that name, who will be Aboriginal characters, I assume. Lots of big questions going to be tackled, and I'm just really looking forward to diving into this one. I think this is probably going to be the first one that I pick up. Claire G. Coleman is also a Western Australian. She is a Noongar woman, so she is an author from the lands on which I live, so that's extra special for me to be reading her work. The next one that I've picked out is Too Much Lip by Melissa Lukashenko, and this one's won a few big awards. So we've got the Queensland Literary Awards and the Miles Franklin. So the Miles Franklin's obviously a big deal. This one I always see doing the rounds. It seems to just be generally quite popular. It has won more than just those awards. There's all these stickers on the back. So I am really excited to read this one and learn more about the story. I've never fully grasped exactly what the plot will be. So it's about a girl called Kerry, and she has been avoiding her hometown and prison, and she's sort of on the verge of going back inside again, but she decides to go back home because her dad's dying, so she just wants to go home really briefly to visit him. But she finds that when she gets back to her homeland, it has like a funny way of holding on to her, so there's like old family wounds that she's been revisiting. I'm expecting this to sort of be a tale of reconciling like family trauma and also dealing with what I'm anticipating to be effects of the stolen generation, with like cultural loss between generations within a family as well, and just do general hardships. And I think there's going to be a romance as well, so I'm just quite excited. I'm expecting really good things. I'm trying not to hype myself up too much because this is supposed to be a very good book. Melissa Lukashenko is from the East Coast, so she is a Gori and a Bundjalung woman, so I don't actually know where those countries are, but they are not on the West Coast, so she's an East Coaster. The final book that I'm going to be taking down with me, it was a tough one to pick, just three, but I'm going to be taking The Yield by Tara June Winch, again multi-award winner, and I find the cover for this one really eye-catching with the birds sort of being the wrong way around. Now I think this one's going to have some similar themes to Too Much Lip. This one is about a man called Albert, and he knows that he is going to die soon, so he wants to take pen to paper and write down his life story. He wants to pass on the language of his people and everything that he's remembered, so that future generations will have that knowledge. And I think it's going to be a really beautiful tale. If you don't know much about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in Australia, the stolen generation was a very traumatic and awful thing that happened that separated children from their families and caused a massive rift in cultural knowledge, and everything important just got taken away from them, and there's been this disconnect. And so you've got loads of stories like these that are writing about, talking about and sharing stories, real and imagined, of people reconnecting with culture and their family again. So I'm expecting this to be quite an emotional read, but I am really, really excited to pick it up just because it is so highly acclaimed. Again, it's another Miles Franklin Award winner. It's also won the Prime Minister's Literary Awards, and it's won the New South Wales Premier Awards as well. So looking forward to this one. So over the course of the next week, I'm hoping to maybe read one or two of these. I mean, like all three would be ideal, but I never read everything I take with me on holiday. These are the options that I'm taking down myself. I'd love to get through them all. It would mean a lot to me to be able to dedicate some time reading some First Nations literature during NAIDOC week. So that is the plan, but otherwise I will check in with you when I'm back. So it's the 11th of June now and I'm back from my holiday. I had a really, really lovely week away and it's just a tragedy to be going back to work. It's always so hard going back to work after time off. It's a Monday morning now. I got back yesterday from holidays, so a little bit brutal to be going to work today, but here we are. I finished 2 books on holiday. I finally finished reading The Order of the Phoenix, which was just delightful to reread. It is so lovely rereading that series and I really enjoyed it. I'm still 1 book behind Chris, a little buddy up read of Harry Potter, so I'm hoping to pick up the Half-Blood Prince in the near future. I also finished reading The Old Lie by Claire G. Coleman, which was a book I read for NAIDOC Week to celebrate First Australian peoples, and Claire G. Coleman is a Noongar woman, so she is actually from the lands on which I live, and it was a really interesting book. It was not historical fiction. The Old Lie was actually science fiction, and it was sort of examining what happened to First Nations people when colonizers came to Australia and started instigating the stolen generation, taking people away from their families, but doing it as if it was an invasion force on Earth and humans slowly losing their rights to live on their own planet. Really interesting, like, macro look at the situation, and I thought what it was really strong in doing was that it made it very relatable for any reader who doesn't identify with that history personally. So I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. It was a little bit of a hard read. Whilst I think it was really worth it and really well done, it was really hard to read with like 6 or 7 different point of views that didn't link up until way later in the book, so you didn't understand why they were all there. So it was a little bit confusing, but otherwise a really profound read. I've now started The Wolf Den, which I'm so excited. I'm 80 pages into it. This is historical fiction set in Pompeii, and it's looking at feminism and slavery through the lens of prostitution and a group of women who are in the Wolf Den, which is a brothel, and the life they lead as having been sold as slaves, as a whore, as they say, to this brothel, and many of them want to get out. This is great. I have been loving it. I'm really looking forward to just smashing this one out and sitting down and reading it because I love it, and it has been such a highly anticipated read for me that I've been trying to get my hands on for ages, so super excited about that. It's been a couple days since I've checked in, and it's now the 15th of July, and I'm this far through The Wolf Den. This is brilliant. This is so good. The reason I haven't done quite so many frequent check-ins or much footage for you guys is because I'm trying to put together my how much I read in a week and what reading looks like for me in a week video, which should be up now, so you can go and watch that. I'm really hoping that that video turns out well and is useful to you guys. I think I'm going to try answering that question in a few different methods, and that's going to be my vlog response, but anyway, that's just like totally irrelevant to what we're discussing. I have not had a huge amount of time to read throughout the week, just because it's been the last week my brother's been visiting from Melbourne, and so we've just been playing board games and stuff in the evenings and what have you. So today being a Friday is actually the first time I've had to take time to read for a while, and I've got a really quiet weekend coming up. I have no plans, and I am probably going to go and visit a bookstore tomorrow, so I will film that for you. I need to trade in some double up books, so I will trade them in, and if I get enough credit and they have some books I'm interested in, then I will grab some books naturally. But yeah, I just can't get over how much I love this book. I think I'm going to need to get the sequel pretty soon because I am obsessed with the characters. I'm obsessed with everything. This is a brilliant piece of feminist historical fiction. It has to be like my favourite genre at the moment. I'm just really enjoying it. All the way that the women respond differently to their situations and the lengths to which the main character, Amara, will go to try and better her situation is just really interesting and really easy reading as well. So if you like historical fiction or you like feminist books or I don't know, anything like that, then like so far strongly recommending this. Hoping to finish this like maybe tonight. This is literally not impossible. It's so easy to read. But we will see. And then I'm really excited to actually read some of my review copies this weekend. Curious to see which one I end up picking up first because I have quite a few good options on the table. It is Saturday morning on the next day. I literally cannot remember what the dates are. It must be what, the 16th? I think it's the 16th of July. And I finished reading The Wolf Den. 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my god, I am so obsessed. I don't know why I latched my attention onto this book, but I've been really keen to read it and have been trying so hard to find it in bookstores, so it was really satisfying to get a copy of it on my last holiday at the beginning of this month, which you saw, and to have just sat down and read it. I've just been really keen. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the reading experience. I've just sort of smashed my way through it this week and loved it. It was such a wonderful piece of historical fiction that looked at the plight of women, I suppose, given that the main characters were prostitutes in a brothel and all sold into slavery and all hating their life. And so the main character is just stopping at nothing to try and find ways to better her situation and try and just get out of this situation. So it's really interesting looking at all the different avenues she goes down, all the highs and lows of the novel. Really easy to read, so if you want an easy to read historical fiction, would definitely recommend something that's just very, very approachable and just good. It was all highs and all the lows. It was sad, it was happy, and it had quite a teasing ending to the book. I'm hoping to go and get the sequel today or in the near future and continue reading it because I really want to know what happens to the characters. But yes, for now, I'm going to go out and go do some book trading to get rid of some duplicates I've got, and we'll see how many books I come back with. The 17th of July and I've started a new book as promised. So I'm halfway through The Wearing of the Green, which is by Claire Saxby. I think I have another book by Claire Saxby, and I have just really excitingly got absolutely no plans today. I'm not dressed, I've just had breakfast, I've been in a spiral of TikTok, I'm having a cup of tea, and I'm probably going to start my day by having a bath. So I am loving this Sunday. It's rainy and I'm just so excited that I've got absolutely nothing to do. So this has been really good so far. This is Australian historical fiction. It's about a girl who comes on a boat from Ireland in 18 something. I can't remember when this is set. Back in the yesteryear, and she's expecting to meet her brother, but he's not there, and she sort of ends up being, I don't know, it's like almost indentured slavery. It's not slavery. It's, I don't know what that's called. She's in Australia instead of being in a workhouse in Ireland because her mum died. Can't remember if her dad died, but she's here. You can tell I'm really, really taking this in. But it's really good. Like it's just like a really harmless, like middle grade Australian historical fiction. I am just absolutely gasping for more Australian historical fiction at the moment. I don't know why, but that's where we're at. So I'm going to read this. I wanted to start The Brightest Star next, which is like a proper adult historical fiction set in Renaissance Italy, and I do want to start it today, but part of me is like, what if I read like another small book before I did that? Because I do have some more, but we'll see. We'll see what mood we're vibing when I finish this. The only other plans I have today is to take some Instagram pictures. I'm really excited to take Instagram pictures. I haven't really been in the mood for like a month. It's just, I think because I've been busy, it's felt like such a chore on top of everything else I'm doing. But because I've got so much time and I managed to like film a video for you guys yesterday, and that, like, it's just, I'm feeling very zen, and I'm really looking forward to like taking some pretty pictures of some pretty books so that I can share them with everyone. But anyway, that's my check-in for now. It was a bit of a waffly check-in, but I will check in with you when I'm like ready to pick my next book, which will hopefully be in like an hour. It's going to take a little bit longer than that, probably. So it's the 21st of July now. I have the sink running in the background, which is what the noise is. And I wanted to check in with you because it's been a couple of days and I am house sitting, so I'm in a different setup, and like everything is just new. So I am actually hoping to get a lot of reading done whilst I'm house sitting. I'm going to be house sitting for the next 2 months, so like this is the vibe you're going to be seeing for a while. I will of course be popping home and visiting home, but I haven't done any reading as of yet. So this is where I am at with The Brightest Star, and this far through, which is page 72, and tonight is really the first night where things have been chill. I moved in a couple of nights ago and things have just been like busy trying to work out where the shops are and just other random things, such as forgetting things that are important and then having to go home and then anyway, so I just wanted to like check in and say that we're getting towards the end of the month. I'm hoping to have quite a bit of uninterrupted reading time, and I'm really looking forward to diving into more of this. I'm going to probably read some more after dinner tonight. For now, I'm just gonna like sit down and watch some Nadia Bakes because I am obsessed with Nadia. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of the week goes. It's going to be interesting seeing how much reading I actually get done in terms of how much I go home, how much free time I actually have. I'm much closer to work, so I've got a lot more time and a much shorter commute. And because I've got a much shorter commute for work and I'm not, driving that kind of distance every day, I will like dramatically drop down on my audiobook listening. I'd love to try and like recreate the amount of time that I would normally spend listening every day, but that just never happens. It would be ideal, but it doesn't happen. So I'm not expecting to read many audiobooks whilst I'm house sitting. So yeah, we'll just see. That's my check-in for today, and hopefully I get lots of reading done. 22nd is the next morning. I'm just about to head off for work. I just wanted to update you that I did indeed get a little bit of reading done of The Brightest Star last night, and I am now up to page 130, so I have pretty much doubled what I had read, which is fantastic, and I'm still really enjoying it. I'm so anxious for the main character because it's not only that she is female and intelligent, not ahead of her time, but in a difficult time when to be a clever woman, but she's also disabled, so there's that extra level of tension in it, which I'm just loving. Right, it's the next day. It's now Saturday night, so the 22nd or somewhere around there, 23rd maybe, and today did not go according to plan, as days are sometimes wont to do. So it's 9 p.m. I'm gonna run a bath and finally do some reading. I don't recall where I last checked in, but I'm at page 145, and I don't think that's all that different to where we last left it. Basically, because it's Saturday today, I was planning to have a chill day, and then I decided that I was going to go food shopping, and then just as I was leaving the house, I could hear this scratching sound in the fireplace, and I went, sounded weirdly like an animal, but I'm sure it's just branches. And so I go and check, and I just have a listen just to make sure, and I'm going, it really sounds like claws, like it really doesn't sound like a branch. Go outside, have a look to be like, well, is there something like brushing on the roof? Like, what is it? There's absolutely no trees around the chimney. There's nothing there. There's no birds on the outside that are making that sound. And so I've gone, oh God, there's something in the fireplace. Anyway, really, really long story short, it's been like a whole day of us trying to rescue out a pink and grey galah from the chimney of this fireplace. And it's not out, it's still in there. We haven't been able to get it out. We've had so many people attempt to try and open up this fireplace. We've had professionals out, and they're coming back tomorrow with more tools because of the way that the fireplace is constructed. It's like impossible to get to where the bird is without accessing it from the roof and going the whole way down the chimney. But it's been thunderstorm and lightning today, so no one's been able to get on the roof in case they die. So yeah, it's been just like a really long and like mildly traumatic day, knowing that there is a beautiful bird stuck like right there, but we just can't unscrew the thing that's blocking us from getting to it. So yeah, that's been my day today. There's not been any reading. I was supposed to have other things on today, which I've had to cancel in order to deal with the bloody bird. So I really hope that I can check in tomorrow and say that it was an easy fix with the right tools and that the bird is out and fine. But that bird's probably been in that chimney for getting close to 24 hours now. I have no way of giving it food or water. So we're gonna just feel guilty about that, and we're gonna go and have a bath and curse the whims of Mother Nature and see if we can read a bit more of the book. But yeah, I was hoping to finish this book today, but unfortunately that's not happened because of aforementioned bird problem. So it's the next day. The birds are finally out of the fireplace. My God, what a day it's been. It took nearly another 24 hours. So it's like 9:30 at night now. I'm knackered. I'm ready for bed. At about 5 p.m. today, we got the birds out, and plural, yes, because it was more than one. It was 2 pink and grey galahs, and it was a mating couple, and they mate for life, those birds. So where one goes, the other follows. So we ended up with 2 down the chimney. thankfully both came out alive, so that was a really happy end to that whole weekend saga of birds in the damn fireplace. So yeah, they've been taken out from the fireplace, from the chimney. They've gone away to the little animal hospital to just be cleaned up and checked over before being released. And now we're just really hoping that no other ones fall in, because I don't know if I could deal with any more of that. But that means that I've not really had a lot of time or energy to do anything. I'm at page 184 in The Brightest Star, so not that different really. I did get some book mail today. I participated in like a Random Acts of Kindness thing on Instagram, and somebody picked out and sent me Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which we've all seen and heard lots about, so that's quite exciting to finally have this, so I can pick it up and read it at some point. And I also got a beautiful edition of Robin Hood, which I read last month, so I'll talk more about that in my book haul, but I just wanted to update you and let you know that the birds are fine, the birds are safe, they're beautiful, they're happy, and they're together. Yeah, I'm probably going to go to sleep really soon, and we're just going to try again next week. Days since I've had a chance to check in, and it's now Saturday, and it must be somewhere towards like one of the last days in July. Don't have the book on me because I left it in the other room, but I did end up finishing The Brightest Star, and I was just sort of disappointed by it. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like 2 weeks to read through. I feel like my whole of July was just spent reading The Brightest Star, and it had such a beautiful cover and was in a really cool setting, but otherwise, like, it didn't really click with me, didn't really click for me. I know other people really love the author's writing, but for me, whilst the writing was okay, like, just like, I guess the structure of, and the like lack of plot, I was bored. It took me such a long time to persevere through it. It's set in Florence in the Renaissance, and it's sort of meant to be like, it's a dangerous time to be an intelligent woman, and the main character is really smart and knows a lot of things that guys know in that time. But I didn't really feel like there was ever really a sense of urgency or danger coming from her being intelligent. It was more that it stirred up family drama because she was unmarried, but that largely felt like it stemmed more from the fact that she was disabled, she's born without a foot, than her intelligence. And so a lot of the angst is sort of like a almost love-hate, familial love-hate between her and her father, who loves her and wants to dote on her, but is also burdened by her. So I don't know, it didn't really feel like it went anywhere. And I, like, aside from those, what sounds like horrible negatives, I did rate it 3 stars because it was still a pleasant book. It just fell short of my expectations. So I think if I had gone in with different expectations and just known that it would be more of an atmospheric book where you're just going in to have a little look and explore through Renaissance Florence, and that kind of thing, I think I would have enjoyed it more as just a gentle, harmless, like, very character-driven rather than plot-driven book. But because I was really expecting something else, because of the way it was advertised, I suppose, I was expecting like a fierce feminist read. It wasn't that. So that's how I felt about that book. I'm also getting through not Gideon the Ninth. What is it? Harrow the Ninth? Doesn't sound right, but I think it's that book. I've been doing that on audio, but I only have like a 10-minute commute to work at the moment, so I haven't really done heaps of listening. I'm over 70% of the way through, and things are finally starting to make sense, which is fun. But I think that's probably going to be something I wrap up next month. Hopefully. So that means the next physical book I'm reading is The Half-Blood Prince, so book 6 in Harry Potter. I'm doing a reread of this, obviously. Once again, if you've been following along with my other wrap-ups, you know that I'm doing a reread of the series with Chris, who is reading it for the first time. He's up to book 7, so I am behind, but I have a little bit of time now, so I'm going to sit down and see how far I can read in like an hour to get idea of how long this is going to take me. It's been a really long time since I've reread The Half-Blood Prince. I feel like the last book I reread outside of this reread was either The Goblet of Fire or The Order of the Phoenix. I've reread the first few more because of like the illustrated editions that have come out, and I read them in that format, in that book. But in any case, that's where we're at. Not necessarily anticipating that I'm going to finish this by Monday. I think it's the 30th today, 31st, because I think the 1st is Monday and it's Saturday, so it must be the 30th. We'll see how far through this I get, but I'm sort of anticipating this to just have been a bit of a slower month, and crossing fingers that August will be a much more prolific reading month for me. Welcome to the end of July. I can't believe how quickly July went. It was just gone like that. So July was, in all honesty, a bit of a slow reading month for me. I think I read 5 books in total. Yes, I did. I read 5 books, so it was a slower reading month, and I have lost a little bit of ground in towards like my hopeful goal of 100 books for the year. I still think I can do it. It's just been like a really weird month of a combination of a really busy last couple of weeks because I've been house sitting and then also reading some books that have been slower. So let's have a little recap. The first book I finished was The Order of the Phoenix, the 5th Harry Potter book, which I loved. I really, really loved this series, and The Order of the Phoenix is one of my favorites in the series. I'm curious to see if that's stays as my current favorite in this reread by the time I get to the end of the series, but I loved it. It just gets that little bit more mature, and I love the way that the friendships evolve in that book. So that was the first thing I read for the month, so that was a really great way to start off the month. I then went on to The Old Lie by Claire G. Coleman. This one is a First Nations author and story for Australia. It's a sci-fi, and it is basically a really cool look at the way that colonization can impact families and people's identities. It wasn't at all what I was expecting, and I did struggle with it a little bit. It wasn't a fast read. It was cool, but it was also quite a lot to take in and read and understand what was going on. It was a little bit confusing. It's definitely not a book for everyone, but I think it's a really clever way of analyzing the issue. So if you're looking at it from a more intellectual academic sort of analysis of it, then it's a really great book for that purpose. That was a 4-star read for me. The next book I read was my favorite book for the month, and that was The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. I had been so excited about this book. It was a 5-star read for me. It's historical fiction, it's feminist fiction. It's set in Pompeii in a brothel, and it's all about these women who have basically been sold into slavery as prostitutes and the way that they are coping with their situation. It is magnificent, the writing is excellent, and I am so looking forward to reading the sequel. I then read a really little book called The Wearing of the Green by Claire Saxby. This is again historical fiction set in the Gold Rush era in Australia, specifically in Victoria, and it follows a young girl who's come on a ship from Ireland to get out of the workhouses and to basically start working in houses as a maid in Australia, but lots of things go wrong and her family's not there when she's expecting them to be, like her brother, and so it was a really great middle grade read. It's certainly one I would recommend for younger readers if they want to know more about the Gold Rush era. I feel like the author looked at a lot of the broad overarching themes. For me as an older reader, it was okay, it was good. I rated it 4 stars because I think for the purposes that it's been written for, it's doing a great job. It wasn't obviously the best historical fiction I've ever read for myself, just because I'm not the target audience for that one, but I enjoyed reading it nonetheless. And the last book I got around to was another review copy, as was The Wearing of the Green, and that was The Brightest Star by Emma Harcourt. This was a 3-star read for me, and I found it quite disappointing. This one bogged me down for 2 weeks and really skewered my reading progress for the month. It's historical fiction set in Renaissance Florence, and it's kind of set up to be feminist fiction as well, where you're looking at an intelligent woman in that time and the way that she's navigating her society, given that that's not an okay thing. But I didn't really feel that it delivered. It was really just sort of a family saga that was quite weak in terms of plots. The setting was beautiful, the writing was actually fine. It was just the plot structure that didn't work for me. So those are all the books that I got around to reading. I have been reading Harrow the Ninth and The Half-Blood Prince, and I'm getting close to finishing Harrow the Ninth, but that's going to be something I will be talking about in my August wrap-up. I can't believe we're in August already. But anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria militar